மறக்காம சர்ப்ரைஸ் பண்ணுங்க. Thank you.
Like I told you at the beginning, the two rooks are usually better than the queen in the endgame, but this is not a rule which is applied always. There are also situations in which the queen is better than the rooks. Various factors can help for the queen to overcome the rooks. One of them is the presence of weak pawns. Another one is the weak position of the opponent's king. In this particular situation, the game Svidler against Ponomarev, we have both of them working. First of all, black is having also a pawn for the queen, which is already, well, maybe even slight material advantage. But the other thing, which is more important, that king on g1 is very vulnerable. It is not well protected by the pawns, and the one on g4 itself is also very weak. Whenever we are having the queen in situations like that, we are trying to use the double check, the double attack ideas to win material, and we are trying to stretch the defense from one side to another, as it will be demonstrated by Ponomarev in this game. Once again, the game is Svidler against Ponomarev, Moscow 2001. Ponomarev goes queen g5 immediately. He is attacking the pawn on g4. Rook g3 was played, and now a nice, very nice move, b5. Not only to block that pawn, but also to prepare attack on the queen side. For the time being, everything is defended in white's position, and Ponomarev is seeking for second weakness. Queen side is a good place for that. After b5, rook f2. First of all, Ponomarev improved the position of the king. He is moving away from any checks on f7 and f8, but more importantly, he is getting ready to bring this king also in the play. Later, as you will see it, king g2, and now he follows the plan. With the weaknesses on the queen side, he is advancing the pawn on a5. Svidler reacted with rook b2. Note that the move like a3 is not good here for the first player, as after queen to c1, that pawn is vulnerable and white is losing it. Say rook a2, simply queen b1, and then the queen can also come on b3, and that pawn will be gone very soon. So therefore he plays rook b2 in the game, and b4 is the right thing for black to do. He is weakening the pawn on d4, and his main idea is to try to take that pawn, and after that the two passers will be deciding the game. cb4, ab4. In case of rook takes b4, here we will take the typical tactical motive that we are talking about. The queen will give a check on d2, that's double attack, and black is winning the rook. So this is not working for black. For white, sorry, he tried h3 instead of that. Then queen c1, obviously attacking the rook and getting ready to attack the pawn on d4 as well. Rook g to b3. The rooks have been connected, and this is the ideal defensive setup. Not only that they are protecting each other, but they are protecting the king. On the third and the second rank, they are attacking the pawn, and at the same time they are defending each other. So it seems like it would be extremely difficult for black to improve his position, and indeed if he goes prematurely for a move like e3 here to try to make use of his main trump, the passer, then after rook e2 he's going to lose this pawn, and after that probably he's going to lose the one on b4, and the game will end up in a draw. So don't hurry to advance your pawns if you don't have sufficient defense. They need support before that. And if you remember the move king g7 that Ponomarev played before that, now you will understand why he did it. He goes king h6. The idea is to insert the king in the action. The play on the queen side forced white to send his forces there, and now the king side is becoming weak. We remember at the beginning that, if you remember at the beginning, the king was weak on g2. We mentioned that one, and that's a way to underline the fact that the king is weak. King is moving to g5, after that to f4, creating some mating threats even, and also giving additional support to the passer. A move like h4 wouldn't work now, because of queen d1, another double attack, after which black is winning material. Svidler played instead of that rook takes b4, to which the answer was once again queen d1. Again, we're creating threats. Queen f3 is one of them, but also that pawn on d4 is hanging. If the other rook from b2 is trying to defend the pawn with rook b3, then the one on a2 would be lost after check on c2 and queen takes a2, and still we have the idea of bringing the king over on f4 on h4. King f2 was played, king g5, rook e2, king f4. The perfect situation for the black pieces. Already he has a threat, say that white does nothing, black is going to advance his pawn on e3. Isn't this working? Yes, if it is black to move, he is going to play e3. The king will have to defend the rook, so then the only move is to take on e3, and then we have double attack. Here we are ruining, in this line we are ruining the defensive setup of the first player. Instead of that, rook to b3 was played, and after rook b3, white already gave his most important pawn, the one on d4. Queen takes d4 check, queen c4, the pawns are moving, and the position is easily won for black. King g5, rook d7, d4, h4. Okay, Ponomarev took everything that Svidler offered, and white resigned after king f5. Indeed, there is nothing to be done against these strong pawns. So remember, if your opponent is having weaknesses and if his king is vulnerable, you can combine your efforts together with the king and the queen. Plus, you would be always using the most common tactical method, double attack, to win material and to force your opponent's resignation.
மறக்காம சர்ப்ரைஸ் பண்ணுங்க. Thank you.